All right, I think we're live. Let me just check. This is David Baumblatt from Terrapin Leadership. We should be live. Sometimes there's a break here. I just want to see if it's working. If you're on the comments, just comment down so I know you're here. Appreciate it. Trying to think, are we live yet? Let me check. I don't see, are we live or not live? End stream this. Yeah, I think we are live. I'm getting the hang of this, so give it time. We are live. If you put any comments on there, appreciate it. So this is Terrapin Leadership Live. We're going to be going over feminism, how it's turned white women into whores and victims. I'm reading the chat. So again, I'm posting on or doing a live show mainly on Rumble. That's the only platform that I could think of that I haven't been censored on. So by all means, click me on Rumble. If not, I have a new YouTube channel that's yet to be censored. So you get me on YouTube for this, and also X, which I'm on the fourth account. Thanks, Ellen Musk. I appreciate it. Thanks for your support for military veterans. On my fourth account, so X, Rumble, and YouTube. I was about to say Facebook, YouTube. Facebook, I've also been censored. So those three I'm doing live. Appreciate your support. You could subscribe. So let's get to it. Let's talk about white women. So the first thing I want to point out, we're going to do facts, very simple. And I want to emphasize white women. We can talk about other races. Trust me, I'll do episodes. I should do a series called White Man in Asia. You've probably heard of these things called the Oxford study, stuff like that. Yeah, all true, all true. So Asian women chasing white guys, whatever. So I could do stuff on non-white women. But when you think about patriotism, who betrayed us and who is the homeland, we're looking at European white men and European white women. That is who formed America. So I'm going to focus on white women. And there's another reason why that is. White women are the most spoiled women on the planet. Now, it's a big statement. People will laugh and say, ha ha, name another country. Name a country where their women are treated better or spoiled more than white women in America. Now, when we include America, we're also including the Western countries. Eastern Europe can be a little different. So Eastern, we're talking Russia, Ukraine, that could be a little different. We're talking Western Europe, Australia, Canada, America. And we're talking white women from these Western countries. So if you're a white woman from these Western countries and you disagree with me, name me the country where the women in that other non-Western country get treated better than you. So for instance, do you think Chinese women in China have a higher status of freedom or whatever? I know there's some bullshit in the news talking about how Chinese women are dying to get to the West, dying. But again, I don't want to change the subject. We're going to stick to white women. So again, and if it was true, white women would probably be leaving America, right? 9 times out of 10, if a white woman leaves America, where does she go? She goes to another Western country. She'll go to whatever. She'll go to the UK, Germany, Canada. Rarely does a white woman leave America and go to a non-Western country, to even include Eastern Europe. It's an interesting question. Why? Where you'll find that the majority of Americans leaving America are who? White guys. It really is. I found out it's just white guys. White women. So again, if white women think that whatever, it's the patriarchy or whatever, they would have left America and probably went to a country that treats them better, but they don't. And if they do, again, it's another Western country. So that's an interesting point right there. And on the opposite point, which is pretty interesting, what men in a country get walked over the most? So I'm going to let you answer this. Do you think white men in America get walked over more, or Chinese men in China? Who do you think has a higher status in their country? Chinese men in China or white men in America? Who do you think overall? How do they get treated? Or you could say an Indian man in India, an African man who. So not only are white women the most spoiled group of women in the world, white women in America or Western countries will say. The exact opposite, white men in Western countries are the most walked over. Meaning what we allow women, racial minorities, and immigrants to treat us in America would never be heard of in India. I mean, I don't want to do a tangent, but look at the FBI director, this guy, Kash Patel. He's a shitbag. Could you imagine this Indian Could you imagine you as a white guy going to India? Do you think you could become a citizen? No. Do you think you could become the head of their intelligence law enforcement agency? I mean, do you realize how crazy that is? But in America, Kash Patel, it's normal. Barack Obama, black guy, it's not. Where is this happening? Do you think in China, the next chairman of the Communist Party, the CCP, the Zhu Mao Zhu, the next person is going to be a white guy? He's going to be a black. You can't even become a citizen. So I want to make that known. We're only going to watch 3 clips here, but I just want to make it known. But I want to make the premise of this that white women in Western countries are the most spoiled women in the world. If you disagree with me, name me the country where the majority, on average, women are treated better. So I can tell you, most of the time, the women are trying to get to the West, meaning not women in non-Western countries want to come to the West. Number 2, when you talk about status and power, whatever, white men in Western countries, because our status is getting lower and lower, we allow, I'm trying to use the wording here, we allow people to walk all over us at a level, degree, nature that's unheard of in a non-Western country. I mean, think about the Middle East and Africa, even in South America, definitely in Asia. It's those men in those countries, they rule. They rule, end of story. I mean, if you're in China, like me, I'm a foreigner in China, it's basically like, thank you, sir, just happy to be here. Hey, gang, good to see you. Gang, I think you're from Canada, if I remember that. Good to see you. And I should do shout out, I think his name is Edge1. Edge, I think you wanted to get me an interview, or I do an interview with this other guy, Tom. I'm forgetting the name, Tom Hepp. Just send me his email. I'll send him an email. Or if you've got my email, if he wants to send me an email, either way, we're very direct, especially if he's a military veteran. Even though I always say now, before when I was at West Point, hey, if you're a military veteran, I'm a military veteran. We're one big family. Yeah, not anymore. Fuck those. It depends now. But we're just going to assume he's I don't know how to word it now, what type of military veteran. If he's a good guy, military veteran, absolutely. I'll have him on the show, or he'll have me on the show. Not like I have a big show anyway. But Commie Canada. Yeah, and I'm forgetting, but I need to do a video too on Americans leaving. Because when I left in America in 2010, I don't know how to put it. It's kind of hard to say, maybe in its infancy, where you see an American saying, I'm leaving. Now it's becoming more and more mainstream. People want to leave. So now the big question is, David, where do I go? And there's a lot of questions. And obviously I have a lot of experience in Asia. I need to do a video on Americans leaving, second passports, everything like that. But when I know I'm doing a tangent, we're going to get back to feminism. But I say again, and this goes into just like feminism, what I'm saying. When I grew up, me, my family, my father, there was never a desire to leave America to get another city. I don't remember that. Most America, you grew up in America, whatever, you're going to die in America. You're kind of happy. But this, again, I left America 15 years ago. It's gotten ramped up more and more. I get a lot of emails now saying, and I keep saying, they're like, you need to do a video on going overseas. So we'll see. But back to feminism. I want to do something here before we get into the videos. It's Leadership 101. Just remember this phrase, because it really relates to me too, heart and heart. When women do not want to become mothers, and when men, fuck that, I'm done with that. When men do not want to become soldiers, the society's done, people. It's done. And we have a society in America and the West. When I say a lot of times, so when I say America, I'm talking a lot about the West. Many times when I talk about China, like racism, that's almost the non-West too. I mean, what do you think? Saudi Arabia and India, even Japan, which I like, they're kind of similar. So the world has a lot of times Western values and non-Western values. But anyway, yeah, I've already begun. I see shame. Anyway, I would say this, going back, when women do not want to become mothers, women don't want to become mothers, they want to become whores now. I mean, any woman who's just average or above average, I don't know, she all she wants to do is have sex and make money. It's called prostitution, OnlyFans, whatever you want to do it. But women really don't want to become mothers anymore. Well, that's not good. And men, well, they don't want to serve in the military anymore. which I don't blame them. I wouldn't even, if this country, if there was a draft, I would dodge the draft. But I want you to focus on that, because what do I keep saying about America falling apart? Just think about that now. When women do not want to become mothers, and when men do not want to become soldiers, the society's done. And you see that. Women don't want to become mothers, and men, we really don't want to become soldiers anymore. Meaning we're not into the system anymore. Not very good. So let me talk about feminism. And this is really interesting because this relates to me in a particular way. One segment, I think you know my story from Boeing. There's a lot to the Boeing. What a corrupt company that is. But there was a segment. I was fired by Boeing. Oh, by the way, the long story short, I was up for a promotion in Boeing, and I did the most stupidest thing in the world. I was an ethical whistleblower in Boeing. I was retarded. My entire life has changed. Like I said, with military veterans, fuck them. Being an ethical whistleblower, you're crazy. So I was up for a promotion in Boeing, doing very well, and I was an ethical whistleblower, along with my colleague, who's also a former U.S. Marine Corps officer. He was stationed in South Korea with Boeing. We both were. So it shows I'm not the only one. As soon as I was an ethical whistleblower, what happened? Retaliation. Anyway, I was technically fired for Boeing. It was retaliation because they accused me of sexually harassing a Chinese maid in the Hilton Hotel. There were no Boeing employees involved. It wasn't even on Boeing premises, and it was in the privacy of my hotel room. She was a prostitute. Something was up. She got fired, by the way. There was something up with that was very weird. There was no evidence. So it was he said, she said. There was no Boeing employees involved. And there's the Boeing Corporation, and they could believe an American military veteran or a fucking Chinese person they don't know anything about. And where did Boeing say? They went with the Chinese person because they're fucking traitors, and it was retaliation. Anyway, this relates to feminism. I got my lawyer in China, and he's like, this is a done deal. Okay, they even said they didn't understand anything. How could this happen? Why would your company believe this woman? There's no evidence. But I'm telling you, to the men, in non-Western countries, this feminism thing is not tolerated. Now, of course, the Boeing thing, it really wasn't about feminism. It was retaliation, but they used that. But I do want you to ask yourself, to an American man, because it relates to this story. I haven't told you the clip yet. You probably will know what happened, but I want you to ask yourself, if you're an American man and a woman accuses you of rape, of sexual harassment, of sexual assault, anything, and there's zero evidence, it's her word against yours. How much faith do you have in the American justice system? How much faith do you have? There's zero evidence. It's just he said, she said, and it's of some sexual nature. God forbid she accuses you of rape, you're fucked. But even something as sexual harassment, zero evidence. How should our justice system work? Well, I can tell you because I'm living proof. I went through the Chinese justice system. There's very few Americans who have my experience. I went through the Chinese justice system. And the Chinese judge looked at the Boeing lawyers. This is so embarrassing. Notice that word I keep saying, embarrassing. West Point's embarrassing. The FBI's embarrassing. The American white man is embarrassing. You have I know these Boeing lawyers. One was from Harvard, one was from Yale. Then they had the Chinese. They hired the top Chinese law firm, the top Chinese law firm, to defend their case because they don't care. They don't care about money, Boeing. They fucking don't like you. They want to ruin you. But they were up against the Chinese justice system. Unlike the American justice system that I sued Boeing, that's corrupt working for Boeing. The Chinese justice system, nah. Boeing may have pull in America. They don't have pull in China, though. The Chinese government will push back. So there's the Chinese judge looking at the Boeing Corporation, the Boeing lawyers. Even my lawyer presented it. He's like, this is retaliation. He was a whistleblower. He was like, this would never happen in China. How can your own company fire you without any evidence? And the person, they don't even know this person, this Chinese maid. It's not like another Boeing employee. And they said, you're the American military veteran. Why wouldn't they believe you? This is what cocksucker traitors these people are. And Boeing is basically the American government. So now put yourself in this situation. I'm the Chinese judge. There was no, obviously you can't have video cameras in it. I wish there was a video camera and you can make a movie. This is another reason my story doesn't want to come out, because what does the American government want to do? The American justice system is the best justice system ever. You know, it's the flawless and the evil justice systems of these other countries. Well, not my situation. So again, the Chinese judge looked at the Boeing lawyers and said, where is your evidence? For instance, why did you fire him? And they said, this Chinese woman, again, they don't even know her. She was a maid in the Hilton Hotel. And there was a reason the Hilton Hotel and the Boeing Hotel were in a multi-million-dollar contract to do lodging. I write a little bit of this in my book. It's so fucking corrupt, our country. Anyway, back to the story, because we got to get to feminism, but this relates. The Chinese judge looks at the Boeing lawyers and they said, okay. The Chinese woman said that he sexually harassed her. Do you have any other evidence than that? It's like he looks at them like children. This is the point where it's embarrassing. And the Boeing lawyers were like, no. And then my lawyer is like, well, I said no. She was a prostitute. It was not even close to sexual harassment. And so the Chinese judge looked again to the Boeing lawyers. It's like kids. This is actually one thing I like about China, where a lot of Americans, because we're defenseless against this American government. This American government will fucking squash you. I'm not saying I'm pro North Korea, I'm pro China, I'm pro Russia, but that karma where this evil brother or this evil bully called America, who's going to beat it? Not you, not me. So if another part, what did I say? The enemy of my enemy is my friend. That's the best explanation. So now you see the Chinese government looking at the Boeing lawyers and they say, listen, it's like they got to educate them. Like, did you go to law school? Like, are you a fucking moron? They said you cannot take another person's testimony and supersede the testimony of the alleged assailant. There needs to be evidence. Boom, case dismissed. My lawyer said, he goes, this case will be over with less than a day. I mean, within a couple hours, this case is over. But I want you to ask yourself, I'm looking at the comments. Yeah, I worked some false allegation. It is so fucked up, but I want you to ask yourself, if you think, really, David? I don't know. I think our justice system would do the same. I don't know, really? Do you have faith if that was your son or maybe you're a wife, that's your husband? A woman accuses a man, because you know the other way around, it's not going to fucking matter. Meaning if a man accuses a woman of rape, that's going to get laughed out. And I'll do stories on that when I've talked to lawyers about that, because I did a lot of investigation into my case. Because again, I sued Boeing in Chicago. The judge wouldn't even allow it to go to court. Wouldn't even fucking allow it. But I need to go back to the story. If a woman in America accuses you of rape, accuses you of sexual assault, again, zero evidence. There's zero evidence. What do you think? I'm telling you, you may not be criminally convicted. May not. You may. There may not be a criminal. You don't think there's other damages, though? You may just be fired from your job like that. So the point is, the boss says, listen, you've been alleged for rape or something. I'm sorry, we're going to have to let you go. And then you say, yeah, but I went to court and I found out I was innocent. It was fought, done. So the point is, meaning, think of all the punishment that could happen besides actually getting convicted, going to jail. Your reputation. Notice the same thing. I know I'm changing the subject. When the FBI investigates me and talks to people and I'm under investigation, how that hurts my reputation. Think about it. What if you're accused of rape or sexual, or God forbid, pedophile, and there's no evidence and you come out innocent? Oh, you're fucked up. You're fucked. I mean, if you have on, and it, like it came out in the news story, David Baumblatt accused of pedophilia, done. And that's another reason why I couldn't get a job. When I was terminated, the judge allowed companies to know that I was terminated from Boeing for sexual harassment. Even though in a Chinese court I won, she wouldn't allow it submissible. You ask yourself, a corporation, if they see a person who's been terminated for sexual harassment, you're done. You're fucking done. And I had that because, again, the company, she wouldn't allow the Chinese testimony, even though it happened in China. I could go on and on and on. We got to get this story. But the way I look at it is this. Believe it or not, I'm actually not as argumentative as people think, even though sometimes that, meaning you believe me or not, this system is going down. Because one of the areas that the reason it's going down is this issue called feminism. And it's affecting the justice system, feminism. And it is destroying people's lives. And I want you to remember that, because we're going to watch a video on this. It's the opposite. I want you to remember what I just said. This thing called feminism is illegally and immorally destroying men's lives. I want you to remember that. The video we're going to see here, it's going to be the opposite. It's going to be a twist. And I want you to understand that. I want you to understand how evil feminism is. Now we're going to go to this point because we want to see these. There's only 3 clips. They're only like 2 minutes each. So there's like 6 minutes of video. That's why I want to explain this. I'm going to comments, false allegation. Yeah, if you're a man and you get accused by a woman of any type of sexual crime or something, you're fucked. I mean, you really are. Again, you may not be criminally convicted, lucky, but there's going to be a lot of damages done. And it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. We should not live in a world like that. Why? Because it's her word against his word. And then again, giving her benefit of the doubt. We're not going to say she's a liar, right? So if a woman accused, we're not. But in the absence of evidence, then it's called unsubstantiated. We're sorry. So we're not saying maybe the guy did do sexual act, but it's unsubstantiated. It's his word against her word against his word. Case dismissed. Perhaps she was telling the truth, or perhaps she was lying. The same with the man, but there's no case. And his reputation should be held, because if his reputation is going to be damaged, so should hers. Why? Because she might be doing a false allegation. Okay. We got that out of the way. Now we need to talk about this. And this relates to prostitution. This is the video coming up. I want to already come out with this. I probably should already tell you who we're going to watch a video of, her name. But before I do, I want you to tell you how important free speech is, because it relates to the video we're going to do, feminism. There has been more and more of a crackdown on free speech. We know that. That's why military veterans, it's a joke. It's like, thank you for your service. I'm not really interested in you killing people in Afghanistan, Iraq. How about you fight for my freedom of speech? You know, if you're a military veteran or you're on active duty, if you could help me get my First Amendment back, maybe I'll thank you for your service. Otherwise, I'm not really interested. And what do I mean by free speech in this thing called feminism? One word. It's called shame. And I want you to remember this, because we're going to watch 2 videos. One is about a woman and one is about a man. And the essence is shame. Now, if you're a man and you're going to go into leadership, you need thick skin. And naturally, we are more immune to, you could say, hearsay or shame. Because in our heart, you should do the right thing. If you're doing the right thing, fuck them. Whatever they say them. But women, just biologically, they are more, sensitive to shame. Much more sensitive to shame. And I want you to ask yourself, in America, when it comes to free speech, who are more of the protected people? Racial minorities, immigrants, and women. Very protected. Meaning you can't say certain stuff. You can't say that word. That's the N word. You mean nigger? Nigger was what I said? We have to. Now, I'm not saying that's a nice word to say. I don't recommend you saying it. And it is vulgar. But if I want to say it, I'm going to say it. Same thing with a woman. You're a fucking whore. You can't say that word. No, she's a fucking whore, and I'm going to say it. The point, and then do the opposite. What group of people are the least protected by free speech? White men. Like, it's cool to, make fun of white men or do it, but I want you, it's a key leadership aspect, because when it comes to free speech, shame is very powerful. And we're protecting 3 groups of people: women, racial minorities, and immigrants. At the same time, we really could care less about white men, which is fine. You should have thick skin as a white man. And if they want to say negative things about you, it is what it is. But if we were allowed free speech, what would that be? That would be inducing shame. And shame is a very key point. I want to end it with this, because I'm going to do another video in the future about the relationship between prostitution, which is basically what women are coming. And this is the video. And it sounds weird. Espionage. 2 things. And there's more relation than you think. But the point being is, if you are not allowed to shame people, because both of those things, espionage and prostitution, like it or not, they've been around for thousands of years. They're not going away. But there's ways you can control them. But in America now, if a girl goes on OnlyFans and fucks that, she's like, yeah, man, go girl. And some guy says, man, what a stinky pussy fucking whore. Hey, you can't say that, right? Because with that shame, because what I'm trying to tell you is, even though people want to put in laws against prostitution, it's a double-edged sword. Again, I'll do a video on espionage, but the best way to control prostitution is culture. is culture. And what is one of the most strongest elements of culture? Free speech. I want to do these videos now because sometimes if I talk too much, you're not going to sort of get it. When you see these videos, you're going to see these points come together. So the first one I'm going to do, there's only 2 videos it's about. There's a woman, not like I follow her, but she has been on these clips. Her name is Bonnie Blue. I think she's from the UK. Yeah, I was about to say Australia, but the video. She's an absolute dirty prostitute. And that's another thing. You'll see in the videos, they try to tell these women they're performers, they're influencers, or they're adult content makers. She's a fucking prostitute. Now, what do I think about a prostitute? Because again, we got to go back to espionage. They're very similar in nature. It is what it is, but they're low class. So I'm not saying she's a prostitute. I'm going to throw fucking stones at her, but she's a prostitute and you're low class. Do what you want. But it's that shame thing. For the same reason that we don't, and I get it, but he's a military veteran. We should put him on a high class. We don't give a shit. And I get it. They work for the corporations. I get it. But you understand what I'm saying? When we have a culture through free speech, we are able to elevate, or we call it de-elevate or devalue, I guess you say devalue people, just based on our words. So now we have this Bonnie Blue. And what she's doing in some ways is fucking despicable. She's going out and she wants to get barely legal young boys to have sex with. Could you imagine if that was the opposite? If there was a male influencer, I'm like, dude, I just want to get 18-year-old virgins. What do you think would happen to me on social media? So we have a woman who her claim to fame is she wants to get barely legal 18-year-old boys and just fuck them for money, this and that. You go, girl. She's a fucking dirty whore. Shut your mouth. You get a guy, he does it, it's done. Do you want to say, because what I want to tell you, and this actually goes into espionage, remember this, if they control, meaning those who have power, if they control how you speak or what you can speak, they will control how you think. That's the importance of free speech. That means that is how important free speech is. But notice, I want you to ask yourself, a male, I guess you say a prostitute, well, they wouldn't call him a prostitute. They would call him a predator, a sexual, but they'd probably call him a pedophile, even though he would be having sex with an 18-year-old girl. You know what I'm saying. They would throw the book at this guy. So again, picture a guy saying, hey, man, my claim to fame is I travel around the world and I have sex with barely legal 18-year-old girls. Good luck with that. A girl doing it? You go, girl, girl power. I want you to watch these clips and we'll explain this and just show the difference. But let me bring this up here quick on here. So there's only 2 quick videos, but it's a very important point. All right, let's watch this quick.
Adult content creator Bonnie Blue has sparked concern this morning after revealing new plans to target schoolies celebrations.
Georgia Costi is on the Gold Coast. Georgia.
Notice they're even these people, they look like cocks, even the guy, they're like, ooh, she's targeting schoolies. Like it's kind of cool, right? I want you to ask yourself, if it was the opposite with a man, how would it be? People would be fucking calling the cops on him. Even though technically what she's doing is legal, the guy is doing legal. I'm not saying I'm an advocate, but I'm just saying, how much of a difference do you think would be a man doing this versus a woman? And then remember, free speech and shame.
It follows her visa being cancelled last year.
Well, for those who haven't heard of Bonnie Blue, she's probably the most infamous OnlyFans content creator.
No, she's the most infamous OnlyFans content creator. She's a prostitute. It is what it is. I'm not saying to burn fucking prostitutes at the stake. You want to be a prostitute? You want to be a spy? Then be a spy. You want to be a prostitute? Be a prostitute. But you're a fucking whore. And I'm going to have, just like I'm going to give you the freedom as a woman to open your stinky pussy and have sex for money, then I'm going to be able to open my mouth and say what I have to say. But we can't do that. Notice that it's cool. She's like an OnlyFans content creator. No, she's a prostitute. It is what it is. She's a prostitute and label her as that. And then she takes it what she wants.
She's gained a lot of attention for doing some pretty outrageous and questionable things, which we won't speak about on morning TV. But nonetheless, she has revealed that she has.
I really feel so embarrassed. Sometimes Chinese girls ask me, and I've always said, we white men, our mothers are white, our sisters are white, our children, and so we should look up to white women. And I've gotten many comments before in the non-Western world from women who say, why are white women such whores? And it really hit me. I was like, and think about white women, the most promiscuous, stinky pussy women in the world. Look at her, because she's a relatively good-looking woman, this Bonnie Blue. But due to her nature, what she's done, it's pretty disgusting. I mean, having sex in that stinky pussy, it just like, if that was your mother or your daughter or something, it's like, what happened in the West? When you have non-Western people from non-developed countries look at you and say, why are your women such? It's like a guy looking at you and saying, dude, why is your mom a whore? And you're like, what? What did you just say? I don't know, dude. Your mom's walking around every day. She's the whore of the town. Everyone knows it. Guys are talking. Her tits are hanging out, and that's your mom. What would you do? It's like, it's really embarrassing. Like you would really be sad. You'd even almost cry. You'd go home and be like, oh my God, my mom is the town whore. So you white women, that's what they say. I mean, look at this. I mean, the most promiscuous women in the world. And I'll talk about Asian women. Some people, I'll mention Asian women in another video.
Bold plans to come to Australia and target schoolies. She says, in her words, she wants to film content for her OnlyFans with barely legal teenagers. Now, this is something that she actually tried to do at last year's schoolies. However, her visa was cancelled. But this time around, she is claiming she has really good lawyers that'll get her into our country. We spoke to Pat Conroy, Defence Industry Minister, who
said, look at that, man. She's fighting, and all the feminists and liberals fight. She has a right. We have to protect her. She has a right to come to Australia and basically predatory hunt young boys to have sex with. I'm just saying, what if it was the opposite? And so you might say, David, then what's the issue? Should we ban it? I'm telling you, the first is free speech. Free speech, because I'm telling you, the most susceptible people to shame is women versus men. Men, we are able to take shame in a much stronger way. Women are very susceptible. They'll cry like little girls if you shame them. But if we can't have free speech, well, then it's hard to shame. And she needs to be called out what she is. She's a prostitute.
Says that the government also has good lawyers.
Well, we obviously use the best possible legal resources.
And the guy should be called out too. A lot of these guys are cocks. You know, the guys that are protecting her, doing that, they're cocks, they're pimps, whatever it is. There's nothing wrong. I mean, saying if you're a pimp, you're a pimp. But it's time to call things out and let your let your status be known and let the chips fall where they are.
Australia. That's what you'd expect the Australian government to do. She currently doesn't have a visa. Ultimately, it's a call for the Home Affairs Minister.
Now, speaking of the Home Affairs Minister, Tony Burke also said in a statement she doesn't have a visa. She had her last one cancelled. And when you have a visa cancelled, you're excluded from getting another one for 3 years unless you get a waiver. So, guys, it's that waiver that she is hoping to get, but certainly a lot of parents this morning will be hoping she isn't successful. It's only a matter of weeks before.
All right. So this is what I want to do. We're going to do another video on Bonnie Blue, but remember what I talked about? Everything sort of relates. Remember my case with Boeing in China? My lawyer told me, and I knew this because at that time I was living in China already for over 5 years, and I was starting to understand this is a different world. And he said, they don't tolerate feminism. Even though, like I said, my case didn't have so much to do with it. Boeing was using feminism, like, hey, sexual harassment. It wasn't. It was retaliation. But anyway, this next video you're going to see, and this is to the women. What did I say? Feminism has been illegally and immorally destroying men's lives. Guess what, women? When you take that stuff to the non-Western world, your life might get destroyed. What do I think about the next video, Bonnie Blue? One word, lucky. She got lucky. Watch this. You'll see this video, and then you'll know what I mean on this. Let me pull this up here. Okay, so everyone can see that. So for this one, I don't know if you, not like I'm a fan of following Bonnie Blue, but I thought it was interesting. Bonnie Blue recently went to Bali, I don't know, to do a whore tour, same thing, to do that. And I think she's been now deported, but there were rumors that she was going to get sent to jail. And what did I say with that word? Lucky. You start doing that bullshit. Same thing when I've changed, like this, I don't know, black lives. I mean, do you think I'm doing any of this bullshit liberal stuff in China? I do one thing in China. Just happy to be here, sir. And I don't fuck with the Chinese politics. I don't fuck with them. It's not my country. But you start taking that. So Bonnie Blue's like, I can do whatever I want. I'm a powerful woman. I can fuck who I want. I can do this. And just like this thing called feminism through the justice system has destroyed men's lives, these women try to pull that bullshit in the non-Western world. They might get the book thrown out of them that even I would say, I'm like, wow, that's pretty, might have gone too far, but fuck them. But I'm telling you, to the white women, this system in the West comes down. What do you have left? You have the non-Western system. They're not going to put up with that feminism bullshit. Not at all.
It's finally over. Adult content creator Bonnie Blue is tonight being deported from Bali, a court finding her guilty of a traffic offence. It brings to an end an 8-day saga involving more than a dozen Australians.
A smile and a wave hello.
How are you? Hello, Bonnie. What are you feeling?
But now it's goodbye to Bonnie Blue, blacklisted from Bali.
Hey, Bonnie. Okay.
Hi, boys.
Hi.
And that's what I'm saying. I use the word lucky. I think she got lucky. You go to these countries, especially like drugs and whatever, they could really destroy. So could you imagine the West now? Bonnie Blue, I don't know, she technically didn't do anything illegal in the West, but now she's here. Could you imagine a 10-year prison sentence? What would I think? I would think almost karma, for the same reason that feminism has illegal and immorally destroyed men's lives in the West. Now these women, you push it, and I'm telling you, you're going to get there. But this is where the non-Western world, they're not going to put up with that stuff.
Hi.
The adult content creator, no stranger to the cameras, looking unfazed.
She gets smiled because she's surrounded by white cuck men in the West who protect her. That's what it is. It's kind of like looking at a spoiled girl. How is a spoiled little girl able to live her life? Because there's a cuck father protecting her. It's usually like that. But if she didn't have it, but think about just the sense of arrogance here.
As she arrived at Denpasar District Court.
And again, going back to military veg, so that's what I'm dying for. So you're going to send me to war so I could die, so whores like this can live their life, and then I get called a rape. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's just another reason why why would you want to serve in the military and die for this system? This is the culture that white men are supposed to die for. It's pathetic.
Court. Her accomplice, Queensland-based comedian Julian Woods.
What is the charge? A succulent Chinese meal?
But the time for joking was over. The conclusion swift. The court today finding Bonnie Blue guilty of a traffic violation, convicted of improperly using her ute. Seen here on social media, cruising the streets, picking up young men. The fine, a measly 19 Aussie dollars. But that was hardly the point. Deported and given a 10-year ban. This, the final act of a sordid story. It all started just over a week ago. Police raiding a studio, detaining Bonnie Blue and 14 Australians, also impounding the infamous ute. The investigation focused on an alleged breach of the country's decency laws. No evidence was found she or anyone else was making pornography, but Balinese authorities wanted her out anyway. They threw the book at her, days of questioning garnering global attention. Eventually, it was decided that by filming other content, the adult star had breached her tourist visa.
Are you ready to go back to your country?
Tonight, the circus is finally rolling out of town.
All right, it's pathetic. So this is what I want to do. We're going to end it with one video. And it's remember what I told you about shame? So what are we doing to women? There is no shame because it's against free speech. We all know that. The free speech is dead in America. So you can't tell it like it is anymore. Hey, she's a prostitute, this and that. But what do we do with men now? And again, I'm fine. You want to shame men, you want to do it. But the point is we have to have equality. Free speech needs to work both ways, and it doesn't. Now we're going to do another video, and I want you to think about the word shame. This is so important for leadership because, again, the free speech and leadership in our Western society, it goes hand in hand. This is where, like I said, to military veterans, hey, man, thank our service members for what, dude? Are you defending my First Amendment right? No, okay, going to the Middle East, killing some more fucking Arabs, not really interested, man. How about you defend my free speech, and then I could thank you for my service. So, again, we're looking at shame. We're looking at the First Amendment, free speech, and I'm telling you, our way of life. Now, look at this scenario, and you tell me what you think. Big difference. 1 second, let me pull this up. This is the last clip. It's a short clip. It kind of went viral on the news, and a lot of people. Okay. I don't know why that thing is down. All right. So you may have saw this. Now I'm going to give this video a little credit. If you live in a feminist society, which we do, you need to look at this as if two men or two women. They constantly do this between a boy and a girl. But anyway, you'll see the video. Maybe you saw it. There's an altercation. But I do give a little credit. If these were two men, I still think the other man should have helped out his buddy. But because it's a woman, now we're back to traditional societies. And what do we do to the man? We shame him. What do I think? Fuck it. It's a feminist world. It is what it is. But I do have to admit, if those were two guys, if that was my buddy, I still would expect a little bit more help than that. But I'm not going to say that this should be a traditional thing. Like the man should, we don't live in a traditional society anymore. But I want you to focus on this, the shame part.
Viral security footage captured on December 6th shows the terrifying moment a woman was forced to fight off a knife-wielding mugger after her much taller male companion chose to step back and hide behind a wall. In a move he's now unfortunately paying for with internet.
I hope you're getting the story, and it's internet. He's a loser, he's weak, he's his. No, because I guarantee the relationship between him and her, he's a cock. And I'm sure she likes to step her foot down and say she's a strong, independent woman. But I still would say if those were two guys, I still think the guy friend, he should have done more. But what I'm not doing is I'm not going to look at this scenario like we always do. Bonnie Blue is allowed to fuck whoever she wants to do because we live in a feminist, independent, liberal society. But then in this scenario, now all of a sudden we're back to traditional values. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing this ping pong back and forth.
Infamy. The pair of American tourists were walking down the street on vacation in Colombia when the armed attacker suddenly approached them, lunging at the woman trying to steal her phone, according to Newsflash. A man passing by on a motorcycle is then seen doing what her companion failed to do, jumping into action to help the woman. The passerby hopped off his bike and hit the mugger in the head with his helmet. A few other people passing by also jumped in to help fight the mugger off in a dramatic struggle. Only once the thief was subdued is her companion seen managing to make his way out from behind the wall to comfort the woman. Local authorities reportedly took the suspect into custody for full identification, but ultimately didn't arrest the man because no theft was committed and no complaint exists from the affected persons. This now viral clip has sent shockwaves through the internet, with many criticizing.
This clip has sent shockwaves. So again, the woman whores herself around, shocking. But this guy, like I said, I would view this scenario as a guy and a guy together. I think he should have helped out his buddy. What I'm not going to do is look at this and say, that man should have been chivalrous and help out the one. We don't. We live in a feminist society. For all we know, that girl does fucking OnlyFans at night and fucks niggers and whatever. It just doesn't. We've lost any remote view of a traditional society. But again, that's what girls want to do. When it's good for them, they want traditional. When it's good for them, they want liberal. But like I said, if those were two male friends, he still should have done a little bit more and helped his buddy out. But in terms of him being this knight to save the woman, well, yeah, if we live in a traditional society, we do. But if you ask the woman, does she think women deserve the right to vote? I think she'd probably say, absolutely. What are you, a macho chauvinist pig? Well, then you're going to have to be a strong, independent woman like men, defend yourself.
The man's decision not to help his female companion. While the pair has not been publicly identified and their relationship is unknown, many online shamers imagined a romantic relationship with.
What did he just say? Many online shamers. It's cool to shame men, particularly white men. It's cool. You start shaming women, you start shaming racial minorities, you start shaming immigrants, especially if you're a white man, it's not tolerated. We know that.
One Redditor joking, that's going to be an awkward vacation, to which another responded, yeah, but the video will do nicely in the divorce filing. Others imagined how hard it would be to move on from the humiliating event, with one musing about a future conversation. "We can laugh about it now, bae. We're okay, am I right? Ha ha. Why? Why aren't you laughing?" One even compared the incident to the 2014 comedy drama film Force Majeure, in which a man's selfish reaction to a dangerous situation causes cracks in his marriage and relationship with his children. Literally the plot of Force Majeure. Great film. In the film's most pivotal scene, the husband bolts during an avalanche at a ski resort, abandoning his wife and children. The avalanche stops harmlessly, but the moment exposes a deep fracture. Instead of protecting his family, he instinctively saved himself. With survival instincts like that, it might just be better to surrender to the snow.
All right, we're going to wrap it up here. And what's the point that I'm trying to make? Point number one is, without free speech, there can be no shame. And there'll be some people, well, we shouldn't shame people. It is what it is, people. That's what you do as a parent, too. If your child does something wrong, you shame them. Say, hey, you don't do that. You're a cocksucker. Whatever you need to do, but you tell people this is right, this is wrong, use your verb. Without free speech, we can't shame. But we know that when it comes to men, particularly white men, it's pretty much open season of shaming white men, which is fine. It's free speech. But we can't do it to them. And that's where the key, some people say, should we outlaw prostitution? There's a lot of things, surprisingly so. That's what I mentioned about the espionage. Some things it's hard to outlaw, like prostitution. There'll always be a demand. You could try it. But what is a good way to keep it under control? Your culture. Your culture keeps it under control. But if you don't have free speech, you don't have a culture. Because it's through free speech that you say good, you say bad, you say what's right, you say what's wrong, and you really let it fly. And who is the most susceptible people to change their behavior because of shame? It's not white men, it's women. Women are much more susceptible to shame. And without that free speech, we cannot shame them. And so they tried to shame the guy, which I'm a little bit okay, because like I said, I viewed that situation, if it was a guy and a guy together, he should have done more. But I don't view that situation anymore as a traditional situation. We're not, because women are not traditional. And if you try to shame Bonnie Blue, what did they make those videos out? I don't know. She's a content creator. She's not a content creator. She's a prostitute. She's a predatory prostitute. It's pretty disgusting to think about what it is, but we can't shame it. I'm going to leave it at there, but it goes back to the big picture, what I keep saying about collapse, civil war. One of the elements is, I'm telling you, this element called feminism, it is communism, and it is destroying America. And it's very few Americans, I had that court case in China. I mean, very few Americans have lived in China. Very few Americans had a court case in China. But I remember that. The Chinese court system said, we don't tolerate this in China. They even asked me, they said, could this fly in America? I said, it can. You know I'm right. If a woman accuses you with zero evidence in America, you may not be found guilty. You may. You may be. I mean, it depends. But even if you're not found guilty in a criminal court, you could still end up, you could be guilty in civil court. You could still lose your job, your reputation. Meaning it is amazing how much damage and power women have in America just by shaming an allegation. He's a rapist. He's a sexual harasser. Do you have any evidence? No. Good enough. That stuff doesn't fly in China, and I'm living proof. And I'm telling you, feminism has destroyed America. It has turned women both into whores, and as you saw the other end, now she's the victim. She was the victim. The white man who's a cuck, then that's what feminism teaches men to be cucks. Now all of a sudden he's not the white, warrior to stepping in and protecting. So now they're the victim. And now they're the strong, powerful woman who wants to sexually hunt young boys to have sex with. Do you see where this is going? It's getting worse and worse. And one of the elements of leadership that will defend us and empower us to correct this system is just one thing: free speech. Free speech. David Baumblatt from Terrapin's Leadership, I appreciate your support. Defend free speech. It's our way to defend our culture. Lead to victory.